Thanks so much for joining me on the podcast. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks, Jared. Really happy to be here.
Yeah, good to see you again. It's been a few weeks since Human X when we ran into each other. It was a great event, and we'll talk a little bit about that towards the end, but would love to kind of kick off the conversation. I told you this when we were chatting. I doubt there's people that don't know who Trustpilot is at this point, but for those that are just finding out for the first time, give us a quick overview.
Well, I think the best way to understand us is as the largest independent customer feedback platform in the world. Businesses use us to listen to their customers to get real, authentic human feedback, and people use us to make choices. And you choose where to spend your money. You want to spend it with companies that you can trust. Our platform hosts more than 300 million reviews. Every day, around 200,000 new reviews are submitted to the platform. Those are across countries, they're across different verticals, and we're also a really exciting commercial proposition in the sense that we're a listed business on the London Stock Exchange. We were the FTSE 250 Company of the Year in 2024, and we're not an ad-funded business model. We're a SaaS business. We have all kinds of products that help businesses really understand and engage with the feedback that they're receiving. We're a team of about 1,000 people around the world. Business originally started in Denmark, but our fastest growing market is now the US, because what we're seeing is nothing like Trustpilot really exists in the States, and a lot of companies are just seeing a huge need for what we do.
The big question, I mean, there's several reasons I was excited to have you on the show, but the big question that we really want answered here is around the importance of trust in AI. So like you and I chatted a little bit about this, but it is, I think, harder to build trust than ever before, which obviously increases the importance of what you've been building. Talk to me about the importance of trust in the age of AI, and how do businesses build trust today?
Yeah, so just one observation, speaking to different CEOs of companies, is you ask any CEO of a business, is trust important to your company? And universally, you'll hear that the answer is yes. And actually, in many cases, a CEO would say not only is trust important, it's actually the most important thing. Without trust, society itself just collapses. There's an old Chinese saying, I think, that if you've got a choice of weapons or food or trust, and you have to give one up, you would give weapons up first, food up second, and trust up last. So trust is like the most important thing, according to most leaders. And yet the striking thing is how little understood it is. If you think of how well a typical chief executive will understand the financials of their business, you've got a whole department in your company that's dedicated to helping you understand the financials. You've got all your financial statements and everything. So trust is super important. It's little understood, and that's really where Trustpilot comes in. We're really helping businesses to get as many authentic customer voices as possible, to present those voices publicly through our review platform. And it's that act of being transparent and out in the open with feedback that really starts to foster trust. And then we're giving folks the tools to really engage with it and understand it. Of course, the dimension AI brings to that is it's a blessing and a curse, right? Like it's on the one hand, it's easy to just replicate fake content, and there's tons of people out there trying to do that and just mislead effectively using AI. But at the same time, AI gives you the means to understand what people are really saying in a way that was never possible before, and really engage with it effectively. So our basic view is that if AI is fueled by actual authentic human experiences, if it's people's real authentic voices that are the inputs into AI, then it's AI that listens before it speaks, and we think that's incredibly powerful.
Yeah, I think back when you go on like Amazon and you read through reviews, right? Sometimes the stars do not reflect people's actual feelings on the product, and then you start to read through. But now that we're able to better analyze like sentiment, right? Of okay, this person said 2 stars, but they said I love the product. Or I always see Amazon sometimes, but Google is actually really, they have a bunch of these. I went here and it was closed, 1 star. Like I always mark that stuff not helpful because I feel for these businesses, right? But so talk me through a little bit of okay, so the importance of trust in the age of AI, super important. How do you envision Trustpilot leveraging AI like over the years to continue to adapt to the needs of your users?
So we're already using AI right across what we do, but to give you a few specific examples. So we have businesses on Trustpilot who have literally millions of reviews just of their own business. So we use AI to help those companies understand what users are really saying. You know, the company with the most reviews on Trustpilot, I think, has 4.5 million different people's opinions of their business. It's quite hard, you know, manually to understand what 4.5 million different reviews are saying to you. So obviously AI could be really powerful in crunching together all of that information to say, look, here are the things that are driving trust with your customers, here are the things they like, here are the things that they don't like, so that you can actually start becoming a better business as a result. That's one sort of tangible way that we're using it with businesses. With our own sort of internal operations, obviously getting 200,000 new reviews every day of different companies around the world presents a challenge. We've got to decide what content is genuine and makes it onto the platform, and what content doesn't comply with our rules for some reason and we shouldn't present to start with. We found with AI, we've become much more sophisticated about how we do that.
Do you have any like words of caution to businesses out there too, or any like let's hear word of caution, any advice that you can give to businesses as it relates to, continuing to build trust, but I mean the game has changed a little bit, right? With what AI has done,
Yeah.
mainly for the best, but would still love to hear your thoughts.
Well, I think fundamentally what businesses need to do is engage with more of their customers. You know, what we see happen if you're not careful is that there is a lot of talk about your business. Whatever your business is, people will be talking about it. They'll be talking about it on X, on TikTok, on Facebook, Instagram, all over the place, right? What we recommend companies do is proactively ask your customers to leave you feedback. And our platform makes it really easy to do that in a way that's, out in the open, transparent, in public. Because the danger is if you're not proactively asking lots of your customers to leave feedback, the danger is that a sort of disgruntled minority on social media end up colouring everyone's impression of your business. So that's a sort of basic tip I have is use, obviously, as CEO of Trustpilot, I recommend our platform for this, but use Trustpilot to engage with your customers, get them to leave feedback on our platform, and then it's there in the open for everyone to see. That helps you build trust with your business. It helps you understand what's going on so that you can actually reflect it in your operations and become a better company. And also what we see companies increasingly doing is if you've got a good rating on Trustpilot, let's say you're rated 4.5 stars, you want to shout about that. You want to tell people that you're rated 4.5 stars on Trustpilot. So we're starting to see people putting it in their TV ads, for example, because if you've got a TV media budget, why not make it go further by actually including a Trustpilot rating that says we're a good company? And the difference, between using a Trustpilot rating to say you're good versus just saying we're good is that people actually believe you.
I actually see a lot of your like the badges now too.
Yeah, totally.
It's really that wearing it like a badge of honor, right? Like
Totally.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
That must be as CEO, right? That must be a really cool feeling for you to see.
Totally. I mean, we see it all the time. I mean, if you I live in London, and if you travel around London, you will see our brand every single time you go out. And as you say, it's a great feeling for us as folks who work for Trustpilot, because that shows that we're doing something that's helpful. Companies are doing that because they've invested a lot in their reputation, and they want that investment to pay off. And of course, consumers find it helpful as well, because it's a way to distinguish which companies they can trust from the ones that maybe they can't.
Yeah, I know Trustpilot's not new in the US, but what was it about this market that was, so attractive for you to continue to want to expand here?
Well, we saw without us really doing anything that a lot of folks in the US were using Trustpilot. A lot of businesses were getting feedback through our platform, and it was that led us to start setting up offices. We've got a big office in New York, a couple of hundred people. We've got an office in Denver servicing the West Coast. So we've had folks on the ground in the US for many years now, and as I say, it's now our fastest growing market. We've got some huge companies in the US using our service right across verticals. From telcos like Verizon to financial services businesses like Western Union, or technology like GoDaddy. Huge variety of businesses across verticals, just all using us really for the same thing, which is build trust with your customers, use the insight to become a better business and improve. And if you've got great feedback, use it to help your business grow.
It's kind of crazy to say this, but we're obviously in Q2 now. Before you know it, we're going to blink and it's going to be halfway through 2025.
Yes, we're nearly there already, yeah. Time flies when you're having fun, Jared.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's especially you throw in some of these conferences, and before you know it, where did the year go?
Yeah.
What are you really excited about? Let's just talk second half of 2025, since we're almost there. A little proactive. What excites you about the business? Is there anything that you want to shout out here?
So look, what we announced at the HumanX show, where we met a few weeks ago in Las Vegas, is a product called TrustLayer, and what that's all about, and this is all coming up in the second half of this year. What that's all about is giving businesses access not just to their own feedback, but to all 300 million plus reviews across our platform. And what we're seeing is there's a lot of use cases for that kind of information. So we've got, for example, investment firms saying, wow, knowing what 300 million folks have said about companies is actually quite useful if you're in the business of picking companies to put your capital into. Or we've seen consultancies saying, we'd really like to understand customer service in this particular industry, so that when we're trying to help clients in this industry, we have something to benchmark them against. So we've seen many use cases of all these Trustpilot reviews, and what we're doing is we're packaging that up into an API product called TrustLayer that gives folks access to that information, and also to the kind of fire hose of new reviews, new bits of customer feedback as they come onto the platform. We think it's also great for businesses who are already on Trustpilot, because it means that you're being recognised. If you've got a great Trustpilot rating, then you're getting credit for that. Well beyond your existing business. And if you're someone who's written feedback on Trustpilot, your voice is being heard, because people don't want to shout into a vacuum. They want people to actually pay attention to the feedback that they're leaving. So that's something that this TrustLayer product will help to do as well.
Well, I'm excited to continue to stay connected with you and hear some of these additional updates. But before we wrap up, last question for you. What did you think year one HumanX?
I love the show, actually. I thought the group of innovators who came together in Las Vegas was super impressive. I met all kinds of interesting folks doing interesting things from right across the world, and it was really rare actually to have a group like that together, all with the common theme of pushing the boundaries with AI and everything that it can do.
Yeah, I thought Stefan and the whole HumanX team did a really good job. Probably like I've been to a lot of first year events. Probably the best first year event too. I've been to. Like, it did not feel like it was the first event. It felt like they've been doing. I mean, but you have to take it with a different point of view, because that might have been the first event, but that is not their first rodeo, right?
It's certainly not their first rodeo. Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
But it was great to meet you there and connect, and I'm glad we were able to do this. We'll stay in touch, but thank you again so much for joining me on the podcast, sharing some more about Trustpilot, and super exciting what you're building.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Jared.